here with Wendy T and Hope Skibitsky.
Hey
Um,
everyone.
Hi. So we were talking earlier, honey, about, perceptiveness and being able
For those of you who can't see, who aren't watching on YouTube, you can see my eye rolling excessively at this point.
So, you often credit me and say that one of my superpowers is like my observation capability or, my ability to see what's kind of going on around the room. I do tend to be that person that lives with my head on a swivel, where
That's right.
literally a bus could be parked in front of you and you will not see it, but a speck of
Look,
dust moves in front of you and you'll lose your mind.
that's right. Situational awareness is not my superpower. It is very limited to missing commas, dress and appearance violations, and eight-legged terrorists. Everybody knows this.
100%. Everybody knows this. And those of you who don't know this, she will invite, strangers into her house to eradicate the eight-legged terrorist
That's right.
and worry nothing about her own health and safety.
I can take care of the rest of it.
It is a notion beyond me.
However, Hope, her situational awareness, I don't know. It's like this God-given like capability that I do not possess.
Oh,
Remember the car accident?
that's what I was just thinking of, the car accident. Yeah. Like I'm driving her car. We're headed to a friend's wedding and it is pouring rain. And I'm watching in the rear view. I'm like, there's somebody like really hauling up on us. It makes me a little
Actually,
nervous.
snow. It was snow in Southern California.
I don't even know. It was crazy. And then all of a sudden this car comes right up on our tail end to keep from hitting us, makes a drastic move into the left lane, only then hits the median and starts to turn toward us. And I was able to back up just enough that they clipped the front of the car and literally spun across all 5 lanes of traffic to come to a halt on the other side, luckily hitting no one else.
Right. I would have hit everything and every person, like trying to get out of the way. And yes, we would have ended up like probably in oncoming traffic at this point.
You're not the world's best driver anyways, and not to say anything demeaning, but like every time she'll come and pick me
100%
up,
true.
I'll have just flown 12 hours and I'm like, I'll drive.
Yes, that's also true. Everybody knows this. Like things that I'm on the list of things. If I was ever somebody who had gazillions of dollars, I would for sure have a driver. First on the list.
You don't have a gazillion dollars and you still have a driver.
So when we talk about superpowers, yes, your situational awareness and your ability, like to see people around you. I don't know. Like that is not something that I was born with. I wish that I had it, but I don't.
Well,
And you see everything.
I do try to pay attention to what's going on around me. I do that. But your superpower I think is really good in the fact that, you know, everybody feels like they can have their guard down with you. And I find very little exception with that. Like people see you as the person that they can get super duper vulnerable with. So you have that very like inviting thing about you, right?
All right. Well, the bar gets real low, right? I mean, I feel like that I make it real easy for people because, they see me in all of my mess, you know, lots of frequently, I would say, right? So,
Oh, wait, you have to tell your service stress story.
oh my gosh. No, because there's probably somebody that I might have killed in that life. Does this bother anybody else when somebody says, like, if you don't know something, ask? And then you feel like, does this happen to you? I know it
I
happens to you.
I say this all the time. I say like I can't know what I don't know. People say, "Hope, don't be afraid to ask." I'm like, not afraid.
Right, right,
What do I ask, right? Like
right.
you don't know something. How do you know to ask about it?
That's right. And so early lesson for me in my military career. I was pretty new in the Navy, and I had graduated nuclear power school. Well, I graduated wearing our whites, and then I moved to my next command, and we were transitioning over to our blues. And so there's always an inspection whenever you transition between the uniforms. So somehow I guess I didn't realize that the uniform for women for service dress uniform is a skirt, and I had shown up wearing pants. So I was the only woman in pants. And this particular petty officer kept telling me if I didn't know, I should have asked. And I kept responding saying, I didn't know, I didn't know. So I didn't ask. And she kept reminding me that if I didn't know, I should have asked. And I thought, like, if she tells me that one more time, I'm going to shake her like an etch a sketch. And like tomorrow, there's going to be one finger missing in the formation. You know,
One of
I mean,
my
she
favorites.
honestly. And so it's one of the things now I would say, like, a superpower of mine is to ask all the questions, to never be afraid to ask anything, ask for help, ask all the questions, never be afraid to look stupid about any of the things. And so, yes, I feel like I
Yeah.
really lower the bar and make it very easy and very approachable for people to ask all of the things.
I asked questions to the point that literally I had a boss tell me that I needed to stop asking so many questions because I made myself look stupid, right? And I was like, oh, like
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a thing I'm willing to give up, right? So I don't know. I feel that sometimes the thing that you get strongest at is the thing that you had the toughest time with, or the thing you struggled the most with, because we try to course correct in the other direction.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's true. Trying to think of things that I have struggled with that I try to overcome, you know, and so situational awareness still has yet to improve. You know, I I'm thinking of a recent time where my situational awareness has not improved. So, and I was trying to explain to you how I was living in fear of my life during
Oh,
my workout routine.
which I you know that I don't think that's situational awareness as much as it's just understanding mechanics. And so I don't get how your
Laws
smart
of
brain
physics.
didn't get that.
Like, I'm not very mechanically inclined either, right? So if this happens to anybody else, just know this to be true. If you've ever seen like those workout bands that you can get where it's like a resistance band with handles on the end, well, you can like there's like a door stopper thing that you can also get so you can loop the band through the little door stopper ring, and then that way you can kind of have an anchor point. I used that, and you close the door and then you have this anchor point. And I was living in fear of that door like swinging open, and you know, like I'm gonna end up like cracking my head open with this. Like for months, this is how I was using this tool.
And then
And
she finally tells me about it, and she's like, "Did you know that you should put," I'm like, "on the hinge side of the door?" And she was like, "No way. Like, how did you know that? It wasn't my first thought."
put it on the other side of the door, then there's no danger of that door swinging open and cracking you in the head. Yes. So somehow the laws of physics should have prevailed in that, and I somehow did not figure that out until months later. So
Well, this is
yes.
why then that your superpower is asking questions or digging in or admitting that you don't know. Because, people find it really endearing that some of the things that you have a tough time with
That's right.
are the
And so,
things that the rest of us find common sense, but the things you find easy are the things that the rest of us need like a Texas calculator for.
oh my gosh. What Audrey Hepburn, hashtag Audrey Hepburn. I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, is it was an easy question. Everybody knows
Yeah,
that."
she was telling me how she was watching Jeopardy. I told her, I said, "Oh, you look like Aubrey Hepburn." And she's like, "Oh," or Audrey Hepburn. There it is. She says, "Oh, that's an easy one." She goes, "That was a question on Jeopardy last night." And you have to tell them what it is because I can't even repeat it.
Oh, because it was just talking about, like, blah, 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 a Roman holiday, and I'm like, "That was easy." I'm like, "Somehow nobody got that." I don't know how. She's absolutely famous and one of my favorites, so
A Roman holiday. I don't even know what we're talking about. Is that a
oh
movie?
my god, the classic. Yes,
Yeah.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, Roman holiday, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, give me the easy stuff. Can't buy me love, stand by me. I'll stick with those.
Okay, well, your definition of hard and my definition of hard seem to be very different. But when you talk about like resilience and overcoming the things and, making things easy for other people, I would say a superpower is lowering the bar for other people to come to me with their hard thing because I am apparently easily approachable.
Oh, I love that. I admit that that is 100% true. I find you very approachable. And so, I often say that my superpower is people, right? Like, but just kind of how your strengths also have a shadow strength. My superpower also has a kryptonite where, I feel like people re-energize and rejuvenate me and that we connect and I have a great time. I also feel like I will give and give and give sometimes even to my own detriment, right? And so
Mhm.
that's why we're talking about from scars to superpowers, how some of the things that we have had to, get our bumps and bruises along the way have helped shape what our superpower is today.
That's true. I think that one of the things when we talk about you having that superpower of people, your awareness, like one of my favorite moments that kind of observed from a distance because I wasn't present there, but I heard about it was you just observing the band. Do you remember this?
I do. Going and
Yeah.
saying
And so
hi.
yeah, so you're at an event and then you took the time to recognize people in the band and that they had spent all that time to be at that event and that they'd done such a great job and it was so meaningful to those members that you took that time because not a lot of people do. They're always like waiting to talk to like the guest speaker and the this person and then that person and the band is just like support crew for the thing and so people don't often take that time and you did and it mattered so much to them and so I remember there was somebody who had said I've been following you for so long and
Oh,
you're really like the person that everybody says you are and that like filled my heart because it's so true. I feel like you have uh such a like such a strength and you're so I think you're so powerful and you're quick to hold somebody to account but you're the first person to be there for them too and so I think that sometimes somebody might not recognize all that you give. Ash would say this about me and I think it's true for you too. Run yourself into the ground with a smile on your face the whole way.
yeah. Yeah.
And so
I literally have watched you be up till 1, 3, 5 in the morning trying to make sure that all the things that someone else has asked you to do that you are doing. And again, even at the risk of your own health, you do it. And I mean, I love you for it because I have capitalized on that many times. Like, hey, help
well,
me.
well, the same can be said for you. But I just, like that awareness that other people have a need, like I don't think other people see that side of you as the thing like as prominent, right? Where I see it because you don't share about those things. And, I recognize it because I see you so frequently. Uh, the millions of stories like that, and the millions of times people reach out and the difference that you've made in their lives, the
Well,
the
the thing
legacy
to think
is
about is, like in the world of cast and crew, I did both sides of one act play. And in the world of being an airman or being a leader of airmen, I've done both sides. And so I try really hard never to forget what both sides of the coin, you know, are dealing with. And,
Mhm.
I really love being able to go up and say hi to people that have taken the time to do something for me or for someone else. And I don't know, I like the way that that feels when someone does that to me too.
So I think that when you think about like those scars to superpowers, it sucks feeling alone.
Yeah.
And we touched on that before in an earlier podcast, and so I think that that's probably why connecting with people resonates so much for both of us, is because not wanting people to feel like that.
100%. And I think that's why you and I have fed into and off of each other for so long is the fact that both of us know how good it feels to get somebody's 100 because I get it from you. But we
Mhm.
also know how bad it feels to be someone's cast off. And we've dealt with that as well.
Yeah, and so I think that how do you take that hurt and turn it into something that can be your strength, right?
That's
And
right.
so, I think that that's how that gets developed is kind of looking at that past struggle and like, I'm going to take that and build that resilience, right? And so,
Yeah,
we've talked before about, we were both resilience trainers and how do we take this thing? And I don't want that hard thing to cross frame it and find things that add value.
that's right. Well, and on top of that, I think that one of the things that we do really good at is after you and I discuss something, because I feel like we talk about absolutely everything, right? And after you and I discuss something and we sort of get to the heart of the thing, we both come up with this like, Oh, I would never want to make anybody feel that way. Or I never, like when you and I have those tough conversations, you're like, I would never want you to feel that way. So if that's how you felt when we got off the phone, let's revisit that sort of thing. And I feel like, um, not everybody takes the time to realize where they could actually get better at something that they're not good at. And then maybe get so good at it that it could be their superpower. So, I think a lot of people, that's an unfair assessment. I think some people say things like, I'm just not good at math, or I'm just not good at school, or I'm just not a good pick a thing. And they use it almost as a crutch to keep not being good at that thing.
That's true. I saw, man, I wish I could remember what video clip it was when they said, I'm not good at this. And he said, you mean you're not good at getting assessed on, you know, how we're doing on this thing, And he was
Yeah.
like, this is just like the measuring stick of where we are now. And so I'll have to find what the clip that was, but I just thought that was a great way to frame that, to look at it as growth, right? And so, where are
So
we now? And look
Christine
at
Press. Oh, I'm sorry. I stepped on you, honey. Go ahead.
just like look at where we are and what we can gain from that. Like I said, like I don't want that hurt to cost me any more than it has.
Right. But otherwise you just keep living in that. And then
Mm-hmm.
you actually, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, or, whatever. You can make yourself feel worse at that thing, do less of that thing, and thereby be worse at that thing. Right.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's driving, that's probably not going to improve.
I
That's driving is like spelling. You're either born with it or you're not. So
don't know.
it's
The babies are born with driving. Or spelling.
maintain that.
Wait, hold on.
Well, that's facts. Facts. Yeah.
So I was going to say, Christine Kress was one of my commanders when I was stationed
Oh,
at Travis. Love her face, and hi if you're listening. But one of the things I used to love is that when we would make our rounds and go say hi to people, and she would say, "What do you do?" And they say, "Oh, I'm just a," or "I don't do this. I'm just whatever their excuse was. Oh, I'm not a nurse. I'm just a tech, or I'm not a doc. I'm just a nurse, or I'm just a housekeeper." She would, she was quick to be on their team and be like, "There's no just to anything. There's no such thing as just an anything." Like every single component to this machine is vital. And I have adopted that thought, because 100% every component to the machine is vital. I don't know,
mhm.
unless you get one of those flat packs that come from like IKEA, because there's a lot of leftover components when I'm done.
You know what? Amber told me to hire help for those in the future.
Oh
7
my
hours.
gosh, when it took you like 8 hours to put together a
Yes.
dresser that then had the plug in the wrong direction.
Let's not talk about that anymore. Also on my list of not superpowers. So.
I went to visit her and she's like, "Don't put anything but a cup on that dresser. I don't think it's."
That will hold the tissue box that it's holding, and that's it. So
I was like, "Oh my gosh." But I have found the value in hard as nails. Like anything that I know I have not put together correctly, hard as nails make sure it stays.
oh,
Just, yeah.
I'm sure I will stick things to that shouldn't be stuck to it. So I will not try to do that. So
I'm gonna call you and be like,
Lulu.
"What are you doing?" And you're like, "I can't get the dog off the dresser."
That's right. Lulu. So
Oh my goodness. So what do you do with your superpower? Now that we know that your superpower is, putting people at ease, welcoming them in, allowing them to
yeah,
demonstrate their strength to
right.
you.
So I think one of my favorite things is that you cannot help somebody if you don't know what their hard thing is, right?
Mm.
And so one of my favorite things is that because I have recognized that the bar is lower for me to reach someone, I've been able to help a significant number of people by not necessarily because I help them, but I'm usually pretty good at finding the resource that can. And so, I'm connecting the dots. And so if I'm the person that he can share that hard thing with, then I'm also the person that can find the right place for them to get the help that they need. And so I think a lot of times there's just such shame in saying, like, this is how much I weigh right now, or this is how much money is in my bank account. I mean, we'll have we'll do a
Let's
podcast on
get
some of
into
those hard
that. Let's get
conversations.
into those hard ones for sure.
Yeah. So I just think like, man, like who are you going to for those conversations? Because if it's not somebody who can help you, then like who is guiding those discussions? And
Mm.
so I mean, I want to be the person that helps people through those hard things because I do have resources to help people. And you you know, I think that you have to have a trusted space to talk to people about some of those hard things, right? And so I have been I've had great fortune of having trusted space to like have real conversations
Yeah.
about, like this is how much I weigh right now, and like this,
Well, I mean,
real thing.
I think that that's a perfect point to make. One of the things I always loved about, professional military education was every single instructor, every single commandant would say network, network, network. And in the beginning, you're like, I don't even know what you mean by that. Like, is this supposed to be some kind of social experiment? And then you find out as you move on in the Air Force, like, wait a minute, I went to school with someone who happened to work in the Department of pick a thing. And you can call somebody because you actually know them and help
Mhm.
somebody with something that they're trying to get through or trying to accomplish. I mean, just the number of times that have told somebody, I don't know everything, but I know a lot of people who know a lot of different things. And so if there's something that we need to get after, let me know, because then let's go find someone who can do that. But I think pride sometimes gets in the way, or fear of judgment.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that shame of like, I'm embarrassed that this is the situation that I'm in,
Yeah,
And so I think that's where I've had great fortune of being able to, again, just be that person that somebody can tell their hard thing to. And gosh, it was a really long time ago that I recognized it. I had a great airman who was she was crushing it. And I recognized that something was wrong. And I was like, hey, come by the office. Uh, and then I was kind of like nervous, like, well, I don't want her to be in trouble because she's such a like rock star. And so I'm like, if she's in trouble, then like I have to hold her accountable. And so I'm like, I kind of didn't want to know what was wrong.
yeah,
So then I'm like, so she's in my office and I'm like trying to figure out how to approach this. And so then I was like, oh, I'll be back. And so that I left my own office. And I mean, I was brand new as a first sergeant at the time. So now I'm sitting in the bathroom, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not trying to like have this little like
do I hold her to
conversation with
account or
myself.
do I help her? Yeah.
Who leaves their own office? And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so then I kind of had this like realization that I can't help her if I don't know what's wrong. And so even if accountability needs to be had, like something is wrong. And so I had to figure out, how do I approach this so that I can help and find a way. And so I think that's where I kind of figured out that we have to be the person that no matter how bad something is, we're somebody's first phone call,
That's right.
that
And that
somebody
they
feels good.
know that you love them enough to both hold them to account but help them.
That's right. And so I think like it was really early in my career in that role that I kind of like it clicked where I was like, I get it. Like somebody needs to feel cared enough about that no matter how terrible it is. And I don't know, I just kind of like figured it out. And then I got good at that networking piece of starting to know all the people who are really good at what they did. And so, and then you don't violate trust.
That's right.
You
100%.
find you find good ways to like connect people to help and make sure that they don't find themselves in those situations again. Now they have to do the work, right?
Definitely. What's that book? The Monkey Meets the 1 Minute Manager. I love the idea that it talks about putting somebody in the direction of help, not doing it for them, right?
Mhm.
Because you could find yourself bogged down and taking everyone else's problems onto your back. And I'm sure in the beginning of your journey in that role, you did some of that, right? Because I think all of us are guilty of that. You want to feel like you're helping somebody, and in order to help them, you feel like you need to take the problem off of them, when in reality, they will learn it more and it will be ingrained more if
Mhm.
you point them in the direction of a resource and then follow up to make sure that they accomplished the thing.
Mhm. So that's where I feel like for you, I mean, I think sometimes there's just such a bad rap for you because you'll hold people to account, but they don't see the side of you being the first person to be at their door to say, let's go for like you know, let's go for that run. Let's go like do, that mile and a half right now. Right. And so, I mean, I know that you've been there for me. numerous times, right? And I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who, you know, fitness was a difficult part of their life and, was one of those things that I just had ingrained in me. And so I thought, what if this is the hardest thing I do is get up in the morning and go with them, or meet them at their fitness test, or run a mock test with them, just to give them a non-judgmental starting point. And
Mhm.
I've done it literally for one stripers and 06s, because everybody's strength is different.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that that's why I often talk about energy levels, where we spend our energy, right? And so for me, like fitness was just that thing that I didn't want to spend energy on because it seemed like it was such a lift to spend that extra energy. But I would sure take on another class to finish that eighth degree.
Ugh, girl, I would tell you all the time, like, I'll run your PT test if you'll do one.
So I don't know. I think like when we come back to that superpower thing, how does somebody else develop theirs? What hard thing have you gone through that would be make it something that you can help somebody else through? You
That's
know?
right. And you know
Yeah.
what? Sometimes, like, if someone else's superpower is a thing that brings them closer to people, then if you have a weak spot somewhere else, those people can help make up that difference, right? And so I think sometimes when we feel alone, it's because we didn't use our superpower to its greatest strength. Um, and I think that that's one of the things that you and I both have gotten better at over the course of time. And I think I attribute some of my betterness to you, because you really do a great job. I have watched you, somebody's at the academy and they start their period, and you send them a whole care package of things to do, and so um, I have since done that, like sending cards to people, texts to check on them, all
Mhm.
of those things. And I appreciate what I've learned from you in the friendship strength category. You're really, really good at it.
And I reciprocate because I think one of the things that you have been really good about is not violating trust, right? So people will often ask, how's Wendy doing? And you're like, did you ask her? In such a great, simple line, right? Or, I
Yeah.
mean, there's easy things to answer, but sometimes when there's like something going on that's evident, like it's an easy thing to just put it back on the person to like, why don't you ask them?
I will tell you what I'm really good at is sharing your business if it's good news. Like if somebody says, "How's Wendy?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she just got her 19th degree in pick a thing." Yeah. Good.
Right. So I think that taught me a lot about friendship too. So it's exciting to share the great things. And then when it's like, deeply private and those kinds of things, like you can tell them her number hasn't changed.
And to try it out. And if you don't have it, I'm glad to share it with you.
Mhm. So I think those, good. I reciprocate lessons learned on both sides.
Yeah. And like everything that we do over the course of time, even if you're really good at something, there's going to be times where there's a hiccup, right? And so what I don't want us to do is think that having a superpower means that there's no chance that you're going to have a fault or a flaw in that arena, even, because like I said, people are my superpower, but people are also my kryptonite. There's been more than one occasion when I'm on the phone with you, like having a breakdown because, communication wasn't strong between me and someone else, and I was having a tough time dealing with it. And, so it doesn't mean that I'm never going to have an issue in the area that I'm strong. It just means that I know I do that thing better than I do much anything else.
No, I agree. Sometimes I have doubt, right? Self-doubt on like, is that something I'm good at? I don't know, but uh definitely better than driving.
100%. And it's so much better when you have somebody to share it with. And I have always just loved that I have you to call and tell all of my really cool things to.
I think so whatever you think like your superpower, that gift that you have is, I've seen people who have like this really incredible ability to drop in the middle of like anywhere and lift the energy of a room. Like, hmm rhymes with cope.
That's what Starbucks thinks my name is. Ask any cup I've ever gotten at Starbucks.
But just, the wherever you go, the energy around you is just better. And I think that for other people listening, I don't know what that looks like for you, but I think that you should feed that
Yep.
whatever thing that you have. And maybe there was a thing that was hard, and you found a way to like make that thing better and make that thing yours.
Yeah.
So and then believe in it, because sometimes when I have doubt on things, uh, I just need to remind myself who I am.
Yep. And we gotta keep trying. I mean, think about it. Like even some of the very best horse trainers get kicked off a green horse, right? And they are some of the very best. And so even if you're building your superpower, you're getting better at a thing, there's gonna be a time you're gonna stumble, you're gonna fall, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
as we always tie connection and resilience into these things, it isn't about not falling. It's about making sure you get back up when you do.
That it's just a testament to that human capacity for overcoming a hardship, right?
Right. That's right.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
could talk about this with you all day,
me
but I
too.
think we should wrap this up here and come back next time. Make sure that if you're listening, you like us, give us a rating, tell us what you'd like to hear. Be sure to subscribe, and we will catch you next time. Take care, y'all.